Welcome back to another episode of Stand on Guard. It's a sad day in Canada, and hold on, we got a live call going on here. Hello.
Hi.
Hi. Are you able to come on, Katie?
Yeah, I can try.
Okay. Can you like 10 minutes from now?
Yeah, I'll try. We're just waiting for Omar. They're setting up to kill our animals. So
I know. I know. I won't take up much of your time. Just can you do 5 or 10 minutes?
No. Okay.
I'll just wait for you to enter here.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Yeah, that was a live call, folks, from Katie at the farm. This is life. This is literally news that's happening. As you heard from that phone call, I didn't know whether or not to answer that call or not, but I thought this is like reporting on an assassination. You take things as they come, and that was Katie, and Katie's here. Wow. Yeah, let's go to Katie. If she's, we'll just give her a minute to settle in. I'm just astounded she could do this. Good morning, Katie.
Good morning.
Well, I don't know what to say, except how I feel about this, and I know how you feel. I was on Jason Levine's show this morning as the news came in live, and I broke down on the show. I've never done that over a story in my life, at least when I'm on the air.
Yeah.
My heart is so heavy right now for you and for all of your family and for all of those supporters who stood out in the cold throughout the night.
This is a sad day. This is a sad day for Canada. This is and the world. Our leaders have let us down yet again. We are in desperate need of new leaders, of leadership in Canada. And we will make it our life's mission to make sure that Canadian Food Inspection Agency pays for the damage that they've done, not to just our family, but to all the families that are out there. This is a time when our faith is tested, and we're leaning on that deeply right now. Miracles have happened every time we've crawled over to a ledge and we've just looked over, and God has picked us up. So, we're praying for Mark Carney. We pray for Heath MacDonald. We pray for the Canadian Food Inspection Agency agents that were not willing to listen to a case that was so important, that could have helped so many, not just Canadians, but on a global scale with innovation and science to mitigate risk of a viral threat. You remember that when the next lockdowns and mandates are going to come out from the government, you remember that this fight was for you, for your freedoms, for Canada, for all of our rights, for the gross power of a rogue agency. To bring people to accountability and justice. And this is punishment. This is punishment. These animals have been alive for over 300 days, healthy, never tested. Those animals are setting up gun cases. They're setting up guns. These animals are 35 years old. We're not a commercial poultry facility, and we're not for food consumption. There are families, babies, and my mom will never get them back.
Katie, are they preparing for the slaughter right now as we speak?
Yeah, they're preparing to kill life. Beating hearts. When did life become so meaningless in Canada? When did we start offering maid to the people who are sad, who are depressed, or who can't get up the stairs properly because they're older? When did we lose the quality, the value for life?
Well, I've said this all along. This is just another example of Canada being an anti-life country. They'd rather kill than they would nurture. And is there a feeling amongst the supporters there that they want any kind of retaliation? Are they aggressive? I hope there's nobody encouraging violence.
No, we're not a violent bunch. Everybody's singing some gospel songs at the front, hugging one another and crying. We asked the police to pray with us, and a couple of them smirked. And then they came to come across the line, and everybody cheered, thinking that they would just have a prayer with us, but they all walked to their cars. I don't know what that shows, you know, the humanity in this that is gone, the respect for life that is gone, the value of your property rights and your everything is gone. It's a tyrannical government that has no compassion for life, and they're steamrolling us at a fast and alarming rate. And this fight was for everybody. So when they come to your door with the same policy that they have brought to our door, and they're going to come and kill your cats and your dogs, you just remember Universal Ostrich Farm, because Universal Ostrich Farm isn't going anywhere, and we're going to continue to fight for you. I'll make it my life's mission to make sure that Canadian Food Inspection Agency is exposed and brought down, and that there's a new agency that has morals, empathy, respect for life, a new face, a new vision, and that agency will represent Canadians well in our agricultural sector as well as other sectors, give them the protection rather than the attack. This is a gross display of power and punishment versus justice today.
Well, you'll have a willing partner in that crusade against the CFIA and this ravenous federal government. That will be me, Katie.
Thank you.
I have fought this with you so far, and I'm not giving up yet in terms of fighting. I sent the CFI questions yesterday, or actually 2 days ago, 13 questions, which I think were summed up everything that was deficient in what they did to your farm, which I think they illegally occupied for the last 5 weeks. They have violated the Supreme Court order, as you pointed out quite eloquently last week. They sent me back their answer today, and it was their news release saying they're preparing for the cull and their depopulation. Well, that's not good enough for me. I'm going to continue to hound them on answers to this.
Okay.
And I just want to say that if there's any way to embarrass these people through passive resistance, easy for me to say I'm not there, but maybe somebody would want to do that in terms of showing how incredibly brutal these people are. And one of your key advisors, who didn't want me to mention him on air, told me 2 days ago that the RCMP had rotated the members on the ground just 48 hours before today in anticipation of what's happening right now, because they want people there who don't know you, who don't know your mom, who don't know Dave, who don't know the farm, who don't know your supporters. These are fresh RCMP officers. That's why they smirked. That's why they're laughing at prayer, because they have no empathy and no sympathy for the work that you've done, for what this farm represents, and for the heart and soul and the emotion you put into this fight for the past year now, almost. They have no understanding of that, and that's why you don't recognize these RCMP officers. That's what they've done. It's a common tactic, and so I don't.
Well, we're going to keep fighting. We're going to keep fighting, but I'll keep you posted. I just got to get onto the phone call with the lawyer. We're trying to say goodbye to our animals.
Yeah, I understand, Katie.
I'll let you know. I'll let you know how that goes. And thank you for everything you're doing. And it's not over yet.
No, it's not over for me either. It's not over, and this will continue.
Okay.
And we'll be fighting by your side on this, Katie. And thank you for.
Lots of
I
love.
understand this is difficult. Thank you for joining me this morning. God bless. God bless.
Okay. God bless.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye for now. And of course, that was Katie Pasitney. And that was a very difficult. I really, really have to thank her for that. I knew this was going to be a hard moment for her. but she's got, as she said, she literally is going out to say goodbye to the animals. And probably, as I said on Jason Levine's show this morning, if you were watching, probably the hardest moment she's ever had. Probably the hardest moment she's ever had. And this is a fighter. This is a very strong woman who has showed nothing but courage from day one and has been always there. In the 7 months that we've known each other virtually, we've never met in person. I haven't been out to the farm. When she came out to Ottawa for the superior or the federal court hearing, I was unable to get in. So we never actually had a chance to meet in person throughout the last 7 months, but we have literally texted and phoned every day about this tragedy unfolding on her farm. And I'm just so grateful she was able to come on the show this morning, however briefly, to talk about what it means. And it is very disturbing. I'm going to show you the Supreme Court order, and then we're going to go through a couple of other things. But this is outrageous. This is outrageous. Here it is. This is all the Supreme Court had to say this morning. This is it, short and sweet. The motion for a stay of execution is dismissed. The application for leave to appeal from the judgment of the Federal Court of Appeal, number A-205-25, 2025, FCA 147, dated August 21st, 2025, is dismissed with costs. Okay, everybody, what does that mean, with costs? Are they going to make the farm pay for this? For the government agency, CFIA, court costs? Is that what that means? That's one of the questions I've asked the CFIA this morning. I think we need to know that. Now, I want to show you the CFIA news release, because it's very interesting. When I received my answer from the CFIA today about these 13 questions I asked, they sent me their news release. Isn't that nice? How about that? Oh, all right. How about that? They sent me their news release. And I thought, how callous can you get? But this is, this is an organization that is all about being callous. All right, I'm just going to put this on here for you. Sorry, I have no idea what happened there. We're going to try again to show you what is going on with the Canadian Food Inspection Agency. Here they are. Here's their glorified news release. Canadian Food Inspection Agency. This is a masterpiece of misinformation, propaganda, and bullshit. Canadian Food Inspection Agency to advance with disease response at British Columbia Ostrich Farm. This is strictly from 1984, people. What disease? There is no disease on the farm. I can't help but yell. They went there and for 3 days did not have their hazmat suits on, proving that they did not believe there was any disease on the farm. These ostriches have been healthy for almost 300 days. There's no disease on the farm. These people are liars, congenital, chronic, systematic liars. This is what the Canadian Food Inspection Agency is all about. Listen to this. Here's their statement The Supreme Court of Canada has dismissed Universal Ostrich Farms' application for leave to appeal the August 21st, 2025 decision of the Federal Court of Appeal. The Canadian Food Inspection Agency, CFIA, will be moving forward to complete, get this, depopulation and disposal measures as authorized by the Health of Animals Act and guided by the stamping out policy for highly pathogenic avian influenza. There's no highly pathogenic avian influenza on the farm. This is complete fabrication. Stamping out policy is ludicrous. Even the World Organization for Animal Health has moved away from stamping out. It's idiocy. These are healthy animals. The Federal Court of Canada and the Federal Court of Appeal both determined that the CFIA acted reasonably and in a procedurally fair manner in its decision to apply the stamping out policy for the ostrich premises. I don't give a shit, excuse my language. Who decided this was reasonable? Everybody who looks and assesses the situation knows it's unreasonable. This is a gangster organization. The CFIA is a gangster organization that's off the rails, just like the liberal government of Marxist Carney. The CFIA has respected all orders and decisions of the courts throughout the legal process and expects the ostrich farm owners and supporters to do the same now that the Supreme Court of Canada has issued its judgment. Reminder for individuals about the obstruction of CFIA inspectors. As the farm remains under CFIA control, individuals are reminded that subsection 35(1) of the Health Animals Act makes it an offense to obstruct or hinder an analyst, inspector, or officer who is performing duties or functions under this act or the regulations. Any such actions may result in enforcement measures or prosecution. Section 65 of the Health of Animals Act describes the legal consequences of a contravention of the act. Isn't that fascinating? Because the CFIA did not respect law or order for the past 5 weeks in its illegal occupation of this farm, because it meted out animal cruelty, maltreatment, and neglect upon the ostriches. The CFIA's stamping out policy aims to protect human health, animal health, and international trade access. Who is our international trade access being impeded by? The United States has moved away from the World Health Organization. It's no longer a member. It doesn't listen to the World Organization for Animal Health. Health and Human Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has been outspoken about his support for this farm and his opposition to the CFIA's idiotic, unscientific, and plainly stupid policies. Our disease response aims to protect both public and animal health, as well as minimize impacts on the $6.8 billion domestic poultry industry in the Canadian economy. Nonsense. These birds were not being sold for food. They're not poultry. This supports Canadian families and poultry farmers whose livelihoods depend on maintaining international market access for $1.75 billion in exports. Is that why you're slaughtering chickens in the millions? So the price of eggs can go up? So we won't have chickens to eat anymore? This is a hypocritical organization, and that's all they've got to say about this. Hold on, I got a note from my producer. Jerry Ritz, former Minister of Agriculture for 8 years under Stephen Harper, has told me no ostriches are exported, so there is no trade interference. I'll say that again. No trade interference. This is a complete fabrication of the CFIA, lying chronically as they always do. This is an organization that must be destroyed and rebuilt from the bottom up. It is corrupt, and it is It is manned by people who don't know a damn thing about animal health, about food inspection, or about basic decency. If you watch these monsters during their occupation of the farm, they continually harassed the ostriches, lassoed them, chased them, stuck things into their necks, and God knows what else they were doing at 2:30 in the morning with the machinery they wheeled onto this farm. And people were hearing blending noises, grinding noises, dart guns going off at night. Now, of course, we will never know if the CFIA illegally killed ostriches during their occupation of this farm, because they're going to get rid of them all now. So we'll never know the answer to that, will we? Do you think the CFIA knew what the outcome was going to be? Was somebody leaking the information to them from the Supreme Court? Did they know where this was going? I suggest they did. I suggest there was collusion, just like there was collusion between the RCMP and the CFIA throughout this horrible process, this operation that was a disaster for Canada. In this country, we no longer have foundational human rights, including the right to your property as a farmer or your right to property as a landowner anywhere in this country. The government can take your land away, kill your animals, kill your pets, steal your livelihood, destroy your farm, destroy your life, and walk away and just shake their head. And like the RCMP did this morning, as Katie said, "Can you pray with us?" The RCMP smirked. They don't believe in prayer. This is not an organization that puts God anywhere in their organizational structure. This is a godless organization now, and they're there to kill and to help facilitate a slaughter of hundreds of birds, and we'll never know how many hundreds of birds were left, because the CFIA is going to get rid of them, and they are going to destroy any evidence of wrongdoing in the process. Are you sick of what's going on here? And it's like I've said from day one, this is absolutely not just about one farm in Edgewood, BC. As much as we all were rooting and pitching for that farm, this is about farms across Canada, but especially Western Canada, because Western Canadian farms get hit and targeted much more often by this Liberal government than do farms elsewhere. This is about your right as a property owner to enjoy your property, as a pet owner to have your pets live without the government coming in, stealing them and killing them. This is about your foundational rights to liberty in a country that increasingly doesn't believe in basic freedom. Canada is going the way of the United Kingdom towards greater and greater authoritarian control by a reckless and ravenous federal government that we need to stop. This is why I'm saying, yes, if we can get elections right now, great, because we'll stop the censorship and surveillance bills in their tracks before they stop free speech forever in this country. I want to show you a clip here, and I'll be back with some more. But this, I think, is the best clip from my interview yesterday with Nicholas Hulsher. Just listen to what he has to say here. Okay, not sure why that's not working. Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on with my clips here. Anyway, that's very, very strange. But I don't know what's. I will have to reload these. Just give me a sec here. I will reload these.
Miss the importance of the antibodies. They miss the importance of all the research efforts that can be made, of the scientific advancement of understanding avian influenza. You know, they claim they're so worried about it, jumping to humans, but then they don't bother to do anything about it. particularly in large number of birds that have been recovered, which is very rare, by the way. You won't find animals that have been recovered quite often because they murder all of them, right, at all these farms. And so this is now the opportunity to look. And, this is the equivalent of, say, a nursing home gets infected, gets a flu outbreak, right? So the whole nursing home, they get the flu, and then they recover. And then a year later, after all the nursing home residents have recovered, the government goes in and exterminates all of the elderly individuals, right? So that's what this is. It's no different. It's no different. And so that's just how bad this really is.
And a lot of people have been speculating, advancing the possibility that if ostriches and cows and everything else on the farm are people next, could the government actually justify a cull of old people in exactly that manner? Because, well, we have to wipe it out because it's more important to get rid of the potential disease that could lead to another pandemic than these people's lives just aren't worth it anymore. And I think in a country like Canada, which you've described as anti-life, you bet it is. From the moment of conception to old age, Canada has become an anti-life country. And do you think that's even a remote possibility? Because it's happened in other countries. To say that can't happen in Canada because it's been a democracy since the 1800s, and it just simply can't happen here. But we used to say euthanasia couldn't happen here. We used to say that unrestricted abortion on demand from the point of conception to the point of birth couldn't happen in Canada. We were just too civilized for that. And we would have laws. We don't have any laws against that now. And euthanasia is continuing to expand. And the medical assistance in dying program will soon include people with mental illness, children, and people with addictions. So watch out. If you've had too much to drink one time, you might be labeled as an addict and liable for, or eligible, as the government likes to say, for MAID. But do you think it's a possibility they could, an evil government could shift this policies from livestock to human beings?
Oh yeah, definitely. There are already indications that they did this in 2021 through mandates of a gene therapy product that now is estimated to have killed hundreds of thousands in each individual Western country. And so it appears they've already attempted this in humans and they've gotten away with that. And so, yeah, it wouldn't surprise me in the near future that they'll get to a point where they'll just say, all right, come on, we're going to kill you. For the greater good of the country, we're going to exterminate your entire community because one of you has been infected with this new virus that we leaked out of a laboratory. That would not surprise me one bit based on all of these actions. And so that's why this is so important to stop this mass call, to prevent this all from propagating and spiraling out of control to other animals, to humans, and just going down the path of no return. So now is the point where we can stop this. This can stop, and we can prevent all of this from happening, and we can start to change the trajectory to a positive future, not one of murder.
Not one of murder. That's the legacy of the Trudeau-Carney government. It's been a murderous regime, from abortion to euthanasia to this obscene and outrageous and non-scientific or unscientific culling of animals across the country. None of it makes any sense, except if you think maybe this is a government that wants to instill fear and intimidation in the hearts of its citizens. Maybe it wants to cow the population. Maybe it wants complete authoritarian control over you and I, because clearly that's how it's behaving. I want to have a look here at Katie's Facebook site this morning. And thank you so much for joining me, by the way. This is, I knew this was going to be a very difficult morning. And what can you say? You deal with it. But here's Katie's latest remark. God is watching. God is watching what's going on that farm today. This is going to be a horrible day for everybody there. And as Jason Levine and his wife said this morning on their show, get evidence of it. Get evidence of what's going on here. And I spoke to Katie at dinner last night. Articles for Canadian and U.S. publications, and you've had me on your show so many times. I'll be there for you. And she was. And I really appreciate that. I really appreciate that. But listen to a bit of this.
It's Katie with Universal Ostrich. 295 days. Healthy, herd immunity, beautiful, prehistoric ostriches that have been in our family for 35 years. We are less than 24 hours out of a decision that's going to reshape Canada, reshape our values, reshape how we trust in such powerful agencies within our Canadian government. It's going to affect livelihoods. It's going to affect the future of farming. It's going to affect science. It's going to affect the people around the world and everybody who has become passionate about preserving life and wants to see these beacons of hope that these ostriches have become to remain alive and be able to live many more years on the land that they've loved, under the sun that they've enjoyed, and by the hands that love them. I'm sorry I didn't do a live yesterday. Obviously, it's been pretty emotional. Just knowing that that power is right behind the fence, that all this life of all the animals that we love are right here. But we still walk with extreme faith. God wrote the story. God wrote the ending. And all of us just need to trust. Trust that God will win. We will win. Prayer is powerful. And our sweet, sweet babies are going to be given the chance to survive decades more.
That's about all I can watch of that. That's so painful to watch. She, of course, is dealing with that today. Part of me wishes I was there. Believe me, I pulled every possible weight I could to get this story out there to the world. And I want to thank people like Viva Fry, Drea Humphrey from Rebel News, who was incredible on the scene reporting throughout. Obviously, Rebel couldn't have her there 24/7, but she was there when it counted. She was there when it mattered. She did some remarkable reporting. Drea, thank you for covering this story. Viva, David Freiheit, you're your friend. You've been on the show. I've been on yours. I love the work you do. Thank you for your outrage and your anger at what the Canadian government was doing to this farm, to Katie, to the ostriches. Thank you for being so concerned. You did so many episodes about it. Jason Levine, thank you for interviewing all of those experts, all of those real experts. Thank you for caring. Thank you for having Katie on your show. Thank you for fighting. Nico Lagan, thank you for allowing me to talk about this every Wednesday when we get together for the Conservative Corner. Thank you. Mark Nixon, thank you for the many posts that you put up about this issue. Thank you for all of the broadcasters in Canada who did their job, and especially for a broadcaster from the United States, redacted, Clayton and Natalie Morris, who broadcast the story to millions of people across North America and the world, who care deeply about this issue because they don't like government overreach any more than you or I do. They fought for this farm. They fought for this story. They fought for this. Thank you, Clayton and Natalie. I know you're going to do something. I'm sure you'll do something on this today. If Katie can't do it, I'll do it. But you know how much I've encouraged you to put Katie on the show because she is an articulate spokeswoman and has just done a superb job of describing the atrocity that's going on there. Another broadcaster who has been a guest on my show and who I met and interviewed when he was in Ottawa, Jimmy Dore. Jimmy Dore, who relishes a fight, who believes in free speech, a liberal Democrat who realized during the COVID pandemic that a lot of Democrats didn't believe in free speech anymore, just like a lot of Republicans don't necessarily believe in free speech. This is why we need unity amongst people who believe in freedom. And that's what the Freedom Convoy was all about, and that's what the farm was all about. People who believe in liberty, freedom, individual rights, in freedom of speech, freedom of assembly, and private property. Democrats used to believe in private property. Half of them don't today. Jimmy Dore, thank you for the times you had Katie on interviewing her and promoting this story to your huge audience. It's not over yet. We're going to make sure, as Katie said at the beginning of the show, the CFIA doesn't walk away from this looking blameless. The CFIA doesn't walk away from this suggesting we did nothing wrong. We're going to cut the crap in the bud about this being a health problem, that these birds pose a health risk to other animals or to humans. That is utter rubbish. And the CFIA knows that. They are liars. And all they want to do is intimidate and frighten people. And if you watch those people on the job, I have never seen a greater level of incompetency from any government department or agency in my life. And I've spent half of my life working in government as a military member and on Parliament Hill, as a military officer and on Parliament Hill. And I've never seen greater degree of incompetence from any government agency than I saw during the CFIA's occupation of Universal Ostrich Farms. Yes, do I sound irate? I'm angry. I'm also terribly sad. God help this government if they have destroyed this farm and they've destroyed the livelihood of this family. They'll have to answer to God for that. And perhaps the voters as well. Maybe this will inspire enough voters to say, enough of this government. Enough of this government overreach. Enough of this tyranny coming from Marxist Carney and his predecessor, Justin Trudeau, who have tied this country into tyranny and tyrannical knots. We need to loosen those knots. We need to break free in this country. So I'm not going to lie down today and just accept this as defeat. This is a challenge, as Justin Trudeau used to like to say. This is a challenge to fight on, to fight for liberty, to fight for free speech, to fight for private property, to not give up, and to remember what Canada used to be before it was destroyed, perhaps not beyond redemption, but destroyed to a very visceral degree by woke politicians who care nothing about ordinary Canadians, but merely exist to divide and conquer, to profit from identity politics, to use the courts for their own advantage, to use the political system for their own grift. And that is what Canada has become. Thank you for joining me today. This has been a very emotional day. I will, of course, continue to give you updates about what's happening at the farm as Katie and I continue to communicate and talk. Pray for her today and for that family and for all of those supporters on that farm. Pray for them today, that God will give them the strength to endure this horrible episode in their lives. Thank you for your support. Thank you for watching today. It ain't over. As long as there's life, there's hope. There might not be much life left in that ostrich pen after a couple of days, but there's life left in that family, in that farm. And we're going to fight to keep that farm solvent, alive, viable, and working. That is my pledge to Katie and her family and to all of you. Thank you for watching today. I'll be back again. Thank you for sharing this station with your friends and family. Thank you for hitting that like button, because I tell you, we are fighting back in a way I've never had to before, because I'm going to keep this station on the air. I'm going to keep fighting for freedom. I'm going to keep fighting for justice and truth. And I am damn determined to resist this Carney government in any way possible as it encroaches upon our individual freedom. And it will continue to do that, mark my words. I'll be back again tomorrow. Same time, same place. 10 a.m. This has been David Krayden, broadcasting live from our nation's capital in Ottawa. Thank you for watching. We'll see you again tomorrow. Resolve to resist